Hello my friends, my name is G.P.S. and welcome back. You might have noticed that I had to take a week off from filming. Long story short, one of my eyes was so swollen that there was no way I could be on camera in any capacity. But I'm super excited to be back, especially because we'll be covering a topic today that I always get asked about, which is Hermes shoes. Over the years, I must have tried, I don't even know, close to 50 pairs of shoes from Hermes. Even though shoes are not really even my thing, shoes are probably my least favorite luxury category to buy. There's just not much about shoes that gets me excited, but I do enjoy picking up a new pair here and there, and over the years I have collected quite a few different styles from Hermes, which is exactly what I'll be walking you through today. So I share with you my Hermes shoe collection, my thoughts, my experiences, as well as my recommendations on where to start if you'd like to dip your toes into the world of Hermes shoes. So if that sounds interesting to you, then please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and keep on watching. So the collection that we'll be looking at today isn't technically my entire Hermes shoe collection, but it is a pretty good chunk of it. When we moved just about a year ago, we didn't have simply the bandwidth to move with everything that we own. So a lot of my shoes are still in storage back in New York, but I actually think that having this curated collection will give you a pretty good idea of what Hermes shoes are even worth mentioning. And obviously all the shoes that I have here are from the men's collection, but thankfully every time Hermes launches a new pair of shoes in their men's line, they come out with something comparable for women too, and vice versa. In some cases, they just launch the exact same pair of shoes in terms of design, and they slightly tweak the overall shape to make it more suitable for either category. And I think the last thing before we get into looking at the actual shoes that I should probably put out there, I think is the fact that when it comes to comfort, I don't think Hermes is the best brand for you to turn to. There are some other designer houses that excel in creating incredibly flattering, chic shoes that are also comfortable at the same time, like Chanel and Dior. I'll make sure to link some videos here for you with great recommendations. But when it comes to Hermes, I think they sacrifice a lot of the comfort factors for the design and for the aesthetic. And they really are not where they should be, especially not for the price. We do have a couple of pairs of shoes here that could be considered comfortable, but if comfort is your number one priority, which let's be honest, it should be for most people when it comes to shoes, these might not be the best choice for you. So when we get to the ones that I would actually consider comfortable myself, I'll make sure to highlight that. But without further ado, I think I'm going to head outside so I can put on every single pair of shoes for you to see. It's only fitting that we start with the first pair of sneakers that I purchased from Hermes, which are the Miles sneakers. I remember when these shoes first launched, they were all the craze because even though Hermes had done sneakers in the past, most of them were quite orthopedic looking, so this was quite innovation. I remember when I first bought these, I think I exclusively wore these for the next year, year and a half. I could not take them off. They were so comfortable, flattering, easy to dress up or dress down. I couldn't have found a better introduction to the world of Hermes shoes than these sneakers, which I honestly still reach for from time to time because they are still in great condition. It was only a month or two after buying the Miles sneakers that I came across the Replay sneakers, which is this design. I, similar to the Miles sneakers, have absolutely loved having these in my collection because they were so easy to dress up or dress down. I have worn these a ton too. They're basically a really simple pair of slip-on shoes, but with a twist because they are from Hermes. There's just something to them that makes them a tiny bit more elegant than just a regular pair of skater shoes would be. But I love the fact that they were just super easy to throw on. You didn't have to think about them. They went with everything that you could imagine. And then if you look at the shoes from top, you can see that when you put your feet side by side, the laser cut little dots actually make up an age. And then it also has the Ex Libris debossing, which I mean, when it comes to Hermes, you couldn't possibly ask for anything more. This next pair is the so-called Saxo Oxford shoes, which I picked up because I love the idea of having a pair of shoes that kind of looked dressy on top, but the soles were still fun and kind of reminiscent of sneakers. But I don't think I own anything quite as uncomfortable as these because the sole is so chunky and thick, it does not bend at all. So every time you put these on, you're kind of walking around like a duck because you cannot bend your feet. And because of that, the top part of the shoes, which is made of this really stiff leather, cuts into your feet every single time you try to bend your feet. So they are just an absolute agony to wear. Yes, they look fun and I love the concept of these shoes. Unfortunately, there's just no way I can pull these out and wear them unless I'm only going to be on my feet for like less than 5 minutes. Next up, we have two iconic designs coming from Hermes. The first one are the Paris Loafers, which I think are probably the most iconic shoes that Hermes creates both for men and women, that of course have the H hardware detail on the front. These come in a bunch of different colors and even metal finishes. The ones that I have are in black suede with the so black metal finish. I don't think I would have ever bought these shoes if they were not in so black, because even though I like the idea of having such a classic pair of shoes in my collection, this silhouette is super dressy. So unless you wear them for a long time and they get really soft and beaten up, these are going to be tricky to style with a more casual outfit. But when I saw these with the so black finish, I just simply couldn't leave them there. And even though I've only had a chance to wear these, I think once, maybe twice, I do know that these are a pair of shoes that I have in my collection forever. Next up, we have my Izmir sandals here in Python, which is a pair of shoes that I talked about quite recently. So I don't want to bore you by repeating myself. Instead, I'll just have my previous video linked below for you. But if you've never seen the Izmir sandals before, they're basically the men's version of the iconic orange sandals. Both of these shoes have the H cut out on top, and even though similar to the Paris loafers, I haven't really had too many opportunities to wear these shoes because I'm just too much of a germaphobe to wear them in the city. Every time I go on vacation, I take these with me because they are just a vacation staple, and the fact that they are in Python just makes them pretty special. As I mentioned before, I'm truly not a big shoe person. Whenever I find a pair of shoes that are flattering and that are comfortable, I usually just stick with them until they start falling apart. And that is exactly what I have been doing with these shoes, which are the Avantage sneakers. I bought these shoes just about a year ago, and I basically have not taken them off ever since. I could probably count on two hands how many times I wore something else because these are the best, most comfortable shoes that Hermes has ever come out with. And they're flattering at the same time, which is a rare combination when it comes to Hermes shoes. So this is just the best of everything that you could want. They kind of remind me of the Adidas Stan Smith shoes they always have, but of course they have the incredible Hermes detail on the side, which is inspired by the padlock that you get with your Kellys and Birkins and a lot of other Hermes bags. And I could honestly just sit here and rave for the next 5 minutes about these. I love everything about them. And I think they held up pretty well, especially considering that they are white and I have worn these 99.9% of the time. So I am absolutely due to pick up a new pair. If I had to rank all of my Hermes shoes based on how much I love them, these Saga loafers would be a close second right after my Avantage sneakers. I wore these shoes to absolute bits. When I worked in an office, these were the shoes that I wore, I would say, every single day because they are, first of all, extremely comfortable, they're elegant but not overdone, and they literally go with everything. Also, one thing that I have to point out about these is that they're actually quite multifaceted because you can wear them as loafers in a more elegant way. But if you want to dress them down and make them a little bit more casual, you can actually make the back of the loafers collapse and turn them into mules. Hermes launched these a couple of years ago during the heyday of loafers when the Princeton loafers by Gucci were all the craze. which I was actually really tempted by, but I didn't want to get a pair of shoes that everyone and their dog had under the sun. So I ended up going for the Hermes Saga Loafers, which was the best decision I've ever made. So if you're looking for a new, casual, but really chic pair of shoes for the summer, definitely check these out. But if I can give you one pro tip, I wouldn't say that you should size down, but if you're going back and forth between a smaller and a larger size, go for the smaller one because they're going to stretch quite a bit after only a couple of months of wear. And last but not least, we are getting into the category that Hermes knows best when it comes to shoes, which is their boots. I have done an entire dedicated video to Hermes' boots, so in case you're interested, I'll make sure to have that video linked down below for you. But the three boots that I have here today are the VO ankle boots. These were actually my most recent addition to my shoe collection from Hermes. These launched, I want to say, end of 2018, beginning of 2019, initially in their men's lineup. But since then, they have also launched these for women. And if you love the way these look, make sure you keep your eyes peeled because they are launching these in quite a few new finishes, not only for men, but also for women for the upcoming season. They're coming out with these in suede with a shearling lining, which I think is kind of a luxurious take on that sort of awk feel that a lot of people love. They're definitely not my cup of tea, but I think the VO ankle boots in suede in shearling could be a great way to keep your feet warm during the colder month. But I know I said this about the Saxo Oxford shoes, but I'm going to change my mind and say that these are actually the most uncomfortable shoes that I own and that are in my collection because they're uncomfortable for the exact same reason as the Saxo shoes, because these boots also have a super thick and chunky sole. Means that again you cannot bend your feet and you're walking around in these like a dog, and every time you try to bend your feet you're going to get hurt because you'll get pushback from the leather or the top part of the boots will cut into your legs. So if you're going to wear these, you definitely want to wear high socks. But other than that, I have to be honest with you, they look incredible on. I love the Kelly detail on the side. I love the chunkiness of these shoes, which is obviously very much on trend. So if you don't care about pain, you're willing to sacrifice that for the look, I would highly recommend that you look into these because they are incredibly beautiful, but just as uncomfortable. On the other hand, we have my showing boots here, which are technically from the Equestrian line from Hermes. So if you're looking for these on the website or if you're looking for these at the little shoe section of your local Hermes boutique, don't be surprised if you don't see them there because they are on a completely different section on the website and also in stores. You have to check the Equestrian offerings to find these because these shoes were specifically designed and created to be used for horse riding. And they actually have this sort of shield that you can put onto them that is detachable. You don't have to buy them at the same time. But if you're going to use these for horse riding, you might want to look into getting the shield as well. I've never used these in a stable. I just wear these and I have been wearing these for years. I think I've had these for about 3 or 4 years, if not any longer than that. And every time it starts snowing, these are the boots that I reach for because they are incredibly comfortable. I know you wouldn't believe me just by looking at these shoes, but I have to tell you that even though these are chunky and they are thick and they feel really robust, for some reason they are unbelievably comfortable on their feet. So if you're looking for a pair of boots that you know will hold up, that are elegant, that are timeless, and also comfortable, which I think might be a rare piece to find, then you definitely don't want to pass up on the showing boots. They can be tricky to find at certain times of the year, so if you like the way these look and sound, you want to make sure that you put in a request for these as soon as possible. And the last boots that we have here today are the Portland boots. These shoes are no longer in production, but make sure to leave the name of the current model that is kind of similar to this. These are basically a really classic, timeless shape of Chelsea boots. But what's unique about these is that they have the Be Happy fastening on the side, which is of course the same hardware and metal that the Be Happy bracelets come with that I absolutely love. And honestly, that's the main reason I bought these, and the fact that they were in suede. It's so rare to find something from Hermes in suede that every time I see something, I am really easy to be convinced to pick them up. So this is a pair of shoes that are not particularly uncomfortable. I mean, I wouldn't say that these are comfortable by any means, but the reason I don't usually reach for these is the fact that they are just such a pain to put on. You can't even begin to imagine what a struggle it is, especially when you're going out in the colder month, you're all dressed up, you have 1,000 layers going on. The last thing you want to be doing is struggle with a tiny little fastening on the side. No joke, I've had to roll around in my hallway several times before to get these shoes off or to put them on because they are just such a disaster that way. If you have someone to help you with your shoes, you don't have to worry about that, but you definitely want to have someone around. Otherwise, you're never going to put these shoes on or you'll just never take them off, which, I mean, I guess it wouldn't be the worst thing to learn to live in such beautiful shoes. But all I'm going to say is that you might look incredibly chic wearing these shoes, but you definitely won't look the same way when you're trying to take them off, and especially not when you're trying to put them on. And this is it, my friends. This completes today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe down below. Especially because I will be uploading 3 times a week for the rest of July, just to make up for those couple of videos that I missed. So you'll see a new video from me every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday for the rest of the month. And if you have any requests for me in terms of what videos you'd like to see, make sure to leave them in the comment section down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.